Rise with India podcast on ET Now.
Hey guys, good morning and thanks for listening in. This, as you know, is the daily morning update from ET Now and I'm Alex Matthew. Today is the 30th of June. A number of regulatory changes were announced by the Securities and Exchange Board of India in its board meeting conducted yesterday. Here's a look at some of the key ones. Public shareholders will now have more say in ensuring the efficacy of independent directors. To that end, among the changes that were notified by the SEBI that will come into force on the 1st of January, appointment, reappointment or removal of independent directors will now require a special resolution. At least 75% of those voting must favour it. Also, a cooling off period of 3 years will be applicable if key managerial personnel, their relatives and employees of promoter group companies are sought to be appointed as independent directors. Rules relating to raising of funds via debt have also been tweaked. Now, all companies, including those who don't have a 3-year existence history, can tap the bond market as long as the issuance of bonds is on private placement basis, only on the electronic book platform and open only to qualified institutional buyers. Also, to facilitate management of offshore investment funds, resident Indian fund managers have been permitted to be constituents of foreign portfolio investors, but these FPIs will have to be investment funds that are approved by the tax department. Moving on now. India's drug regulator has cleared the imports of Moderna's COVID-19 shot, but other crucial details, including the granting of indemnity, have yet to be worked out, according to the head of the country's vaccine panel. The Drugs Controller General of India has cleared pharmaceutical company Cipla to import the shots for restricted emergency use. While on the topic of vaccines, Johnson & Johnson has said it is in talks with the Indian government to explore ways to accelerate delivery of its single-dose COVID-19 vaccine in the country. In other news in the pharma space, 5 Indian drug makers will jointly conduct clinical trials of an antiviral drug for the treatment of COVID-19 in the country. Sun Pharma, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's, Emcure Pharma and Torrent Pharma will collaborate for the clinical trials of the investigational drug Molnupiravir. That's an oral antiviral that inhibits the replication of multiple RNA viruses, including COVID-19. Now, the government yesterday reduced the basic customs duty on crude palm oil to 10%, which will help bring down the edible oil prices in the retail market. At least that is the intention. The CBIC, in a notification, cut the basic customs duty on crude palm oil to 10% and refined palm oil to 37.5% with effect from today. However, the reduction in import duty, according to experts, is not going to have much of an impact as the inward shipments of refined palm oil are restricted. In other news, Devas Multimedia, a company seeking over $1.2 billion that it won in international arbitration from India, has joined Cairn Energy in seeking to seize Air India's assets abroad. Calling the flagship airline an alter ego of the Indian state, Devas filed a petition in New York asking Air India to pay the amount or forfeit its US property, and that includes planes, cargo handling equipment and artwork. The move could threaten the sale of Air India that has been in the works for some time. But do remember that India has challenged the arbitration that went in favor of Cairn. India and other developing nations will oppose plans by the European Union and the US to penalize imports of carbon-intensive goods to curb emissions at the Global Climate Summit to be held in Glasgow this November, according to Environment Minister Prakash Zavadekar. India will instead seek more action from European nations and the US, which have not kept their commitments on reducing emissions, according to Zavadekar. And with that, it's over to Rohit Singh for the trade setup for the day in India. Morning, Rohit. How are we looking today?
Good morning, Alex. This is the morning market setup, and we'll tell you all you need to know about the trading day. Today marks the end of the month and the quarter, so brace for some last-minute portfolio adjustments by mutual funds. We ended lower for the second day and the conviction seems to be missing at highs. But still, we are not very far from 15,900, which has been the level from where Nifty has often pulled back. The measure of volatility has now cooled off to 13 levels, which may explain the consolidation that's going on. For the month, broader market is where the real gains have been happening, with the small cap index rising nearly 5% in June. What also captures the one-way ride is the fact that not a single stock in Nifty has been at 52-week lows for nearly 6 months. Despite yesterday's fall, both foreign and domestic investors were net buyers in the market. FII's net bought shares worth 116 crore rupees, while DII's bought shares worth 1,800 crore rupees. The S&P 500 and Nasdaq all nudged slightly higher to another record close, backed by strong consumer confidence data. For the quarter, S&P 500 has managed to gain by 8%. Keep an eye on oil today as OPEC Plus ministers seem to be divided ahead of the meeting on production. Let's tell you about the active stocks this morning. Regulators have allowed Cipla to import Moderna's vaccine for restricted use. Cipla will import vaccines that have been donated to India, and it is not for commercial supply. With lockdown restrictions easing, automakers are expected to report a recovery in sales in June. Watch out for the street expectations. Watch out for M&M as cash-strapped SsangYong has put up a controlling stake for auction. HDFC has acquired an 8.4% stake in Ansal Housing after invoking pledged shares for recovery of loans. Bharti's overseas arm will invest additional 3,700 crore rupees in OneWeb, a low Earth orbit satellite communications company. Watch out for the street reaction to after-hour numbers by Fenelix Cables, KRBL, EID Parry, and Uflex. We will soon be focusing on Q1 numbers, and the street will tomorrow watch out for the auto sales impact. Expect some more days of consolidation before a clearer trend emerges. That's it from my end. Wish you all a profitable day ahead. I hand it back to you, Alex.
Thanks, Rohit. And as always, thank you all for listening in. This is Alex Matthews signing off. Have a great day.
The Rise with India podcast on ET Now.